Hi there, I am Dele Adeleke. Today, the world calls me a superstar. Chelsea's golden boy, Nigeria's pride, the star boy of football. They cheer my name, they wear my jersey, they dream of becoming me. But let me tell you something they don't know. Before the lights, before the fame, before the trophies, I was just a boy from Ebute Metta, one of the roughest places in Lagos. My dreams were bigger than my reality, but that didn't stop me. My friends Kunle, Seyi, and Tunde, we all had one dream: to make it out through football. Every day after school, we would run to the dusty pitch near the train tracks, playing till the sun disappeared. We played with passion, with hunger, with everything we had. But no matter how much I tried, there was one thing I could never have. Aisha Odewale. Aisha, the daughter of the local government chairman, the girl with the prettiest face and the sharpest tongue. I was madly in love with her, but she hated me. One evening, I gathered courage. I had saved up money to buy a small bottle of perfume, the type they sell in traffic for 200 naira. I thought if I gave it to her, maybe, just maybe, she would smile at me. I found her standing with her friends near her father's mansion. My heart pounded. Aisha, I started, swallowing my fear. I got you something. She turned, looked at me, then at the bottle in my shaking hands. And then she did something that I will never forget. She grabbed the bottle, uncapped it, and before I could react, she poured everything on the ground. Then she looked me in the eyes and said, "Dele, don't ever come close to me. You are poor. You smell like sweat and sand. If I were you, I would focus on football because that's the only thing that might save you from this wretched life." Her friends burst into laughter. Kunle, Seyi, and Tunde, who were watching from a distance, rushed over, half laughing, half shocked. "Ah, Dele, she finished you," Kunle said, shaking his head. "But wait," Seyi added, "did she say you smell like sweat and sand?" "Ah, my chest!" Even Tunde, the most serious among us, couldn't hold his laughter. I forced a smile, pretending it didn't hurt. But inside, I felt something break. As I turned to leave, humiliated, Morayo Edegbit, Aisha's best friend, came running after me. "Dele, wait," she called. "I'm sorry about what Aisha did." I kept walking. She touched my arm gently, stopping me. "Don't listen to her. You're more than this. One day, you'll make her regret ever looking down on you." I looked at Morayo, surprised. Nobody had ever said something like that to me before. And in that moment, I made a promise to myself. One day, the world will know my name. You see, after Aisha disgraced me that day, I could have given up. I could have let the shame drown me. But instead, I turned my pain into fire. I trained harder. Every morning before school, I was on the pitch. Every evening, after I finished selling pure water for my mother at the market, I was back again, playing till my legs felt like breaking. Kunle, Seyi, and Tunde were right there with me. We weren't just boys kicking a ball anymore. We were warriors fighting for our future. But the struggle wasn't easy. One Saturday morning, I was on my way to training when I made a mistake. I passed by Aisha's house. I wasn't even thinking about her. I was just walking fast, focused on getting to the pitch. Then I heard her voice. "Dele, where do you think you're going?" I turned around. Aisha was standing in front of the gate wearing a brand new designer dress. Her father had just returned from Abuja, and she always dressed extra fine whenever he was around. I forced a small smile. "Training." She wrinkled her nose like she had just smelt something rotten. "You again, you and this, your stupid football." Her friends giggled. I wanted to ignore her, I really did. But Aisha wasn't done. She took her sachet of water, squeezed it, and poured the whole thing on me. "Maybe that will help you smell better," she said, laughing. Her friends roared. The security man by the gate chuckled. I stood there, dripping wet, fists clenched. Then I heard another voice. "Aisha, what is wrong with you?" It was Morayo. She rushed past Aisha and grabbed my hand. "Why do you always treat him like this?" Aisha scoffed. "Because he keeps coming near me when he should know his level." Morayo turned to me, eyes full of apology. "Dele, please don't let her get to you." She pulled out a handkerchief and wiped my wet face. "You'll be great one day. Just keep going." Something about the way she said it made my chest tighten. I looked into her eyes, and for the first time I noticed her. She wasn't just Aisha's quiet friend, she was different. But I didn't have time to think about that, because that same evening on the very field where we had played all our lives, everything changed forever. The scouts arrived. The day the scouts arrived, we had no idea our lives were about to change. It was a hot Sunday evening, and as usual, my guys and I were on the pitch, sweating, playing like our lives depended on it, because, in truth, they did. The ball was life, our only ticket out of Ebute Metta. Kunle, the fastest among us, was dashing down the right wing. He sent in a perfect cross. I rose, met it with my head, and boom, the ball slammed into the net. Goal! Tunde shouted, running toward me. Seyi jumped on my back. Dele, you be machine! The small crowd around the pitch cheered. But what we didn't know was that 3 men in suits were standing at the far end, watching us with sharp eyes. Then, suddenly, the game stopped. One of the men, a tall, light-skinned man with a serious face, stepped onto the pitch. He clapped his hands twice and said, "Boys, well done. But now, let's see if you're ready for the real stage." We looked at each other, confused. That was when the local coach, Baba Yemi, ran onto the field, his voice shaking with excitement. "Dele, Kunle, Seyi, Tunde. These men are scouts from Europe." Our hearts stopped. They weren't just scouts, they were agents from Chelsea, Barcelona, and Manchester United. The man from Chelsea pointed at me. "You. What's your name?" I swallowed hard. Dele Adeleke." He nodded. "I've seen enough. You have raw talent. We want to take you to England." I felt dizzy. Was this real? Was I dreaming? Then, before I could even process what was happening, the other scout stepped forward. "I want the boy with speed," the Barcelona agent said, pointing at Kunle. "The strong midfielder," the Man United scout gestured at Seyi, "and the striker." The Real Madrid agent turned to Tunde. All 4 of us, chosen, on the same day. Tunde grabbed my shoulder. "Dele, we did it." His voice was shaky. "We actually did it." I didn't even have words. All I could think about was Aisha. The girl who poured water on me. The girl who said I would never be more than a poor boy. And as we signed our contracts, preparing to leave Nigeria for a new life in Europe, one thought kept ringing in my head. Aisha would hear of this, and when she did, she would regret everything. When I left Nigeria, I left as a nobody. When I returned, I was a king. Years passed in a blur. Chelsea became my home, Stamford Bridge my palace. I rose from an unknown academy player to the club's golden boy, top scorer, fan favorite, the pride of Africa. My name echoed across stadiums on the lips of millions. Dele Adeleke, star boy, Nigerian football's crown jewel. Kunle was tearing up La Liga with Barcelona. Seyi was a midfield general at Man United. And Tunde? He was a monster at Real Madrid. We didn't just escape Ebute Metta. We dominated the world. Then, in a twist nobody saw coming, Nigeria won the bid to host the FIFA World Cup for the first time in history. And with that, I was back in Lagos, back to where it all started. I had one goal, to win Nigeria's first ever World Cup. And that was when she appeared again. Aisha Odewale. The same girl who once poured water on me, the same girl who called me a sweaty, poor boy. I was at a charity event in Victoria Island when I heard someone call my name. Dele? I turned around. There she was, same face, same sharp eyes, but this time, her voice was softer. "Aisha," I said, my voice unreadable. She smiled, too sweetly. "Wow, look at you. You've changed so much," I smiled back. I knew what she was doing. She wasn't the same Aisha who once humiliated me. No, this was a different version, one who had just realized that the same boy she rejected was now the most wanted man in Nigeria. And that was when she made her move. "You know," she said, stepping closer, "I always knew you would be great." I almost laughed. Lies. But instead of calling her out, I did something better. I smiled and said, "Is that so?" She nodded. "Of course. We should, catch up sometime." And just like that, the trap was set. Because while Aisha thought she was pulling me in, she had no idea. I was about to expose her for exactly who she was. The world was watching. The FIFA World Cup final, Nigeria versus Ghana. The biggest match in our country's history. And me? I was at the center of it all. Highest goal scorer, MVP of the tournament, the star boy leading Nigeria to glory. But off the pitch, a different game was being played. Aisha thought she had won. She had been hanging around me for weeks, acting like she had always been on my side. She laughed at my jokes, called me Dele Me, sent sweet messages at night. But there was just one problem, Morayo. Morayo, the girl who had defended me when Aisha humiliated me. The girl who had wiped my face when Aisha poured water on me. The girl who saw me before the fame. Morayo was my girlfriend now. The love of my life. And Aisha? She hated it. One evening, Mariah came to my hotel looking heartbroken. Aisha called me a boyfriend snatcher. I laughed. Aisha was losing the game. But my friends, Kunle, Seyi, and Tunde, they were worried. Dele, are you sure you're handling this well? Kunle asked. Seyi folded his arms. It looks like you're leading Aisha on. Tunde, always the serious one, frowned. You're making Mariah cry, bro. If you're playing a game, end it now. They didn't know the full story. Nobody did. But the grand reveal was coming. Match day. The final whistle blew. Nigeria had done it. We had won our first ever World Cup. The stadium erupted. Fans were screaming, fireworks exploded in the sky, and I was lifted high, the world's best player. And that was when I made my move. With cameras flashing, I pulled Mariah close to me, held her tight, and kissed her forehead. Then I turned to the cameras and said, "She's the only woman I'll ever love." The crowd went wild, but Aisha? She stood there, frozen, humiliated, her plans shattered before the whole world. And as I raised the golden trophy, my voice rang through the stadium. Who am I? I am Dele Adeleke, and I am the world's best player.